How did the whole process come up about you two wanting to look at starting a business together as a couple, as a married couple?
We thought about it. I mean, we've both been in the industry for 17 years and you were 22 years, and we actually all met together, didn't we?
Yep.
At 18, 19 years ago.
Yeah, long
At
time.
A big corporate,
when we all worked
remain
together.
unknown.
Yeah.
And so we met there and both went our kind of separate ways. I stayed at the corporate. Liana had a fantastic career doing various other jobs. So I had big wage, low commission. Liana set up by herself as full set broker, no wage, 100% commission. And it worked quite well, the balance, didn't it? It's like, okay, it's when she didn't have a good month, at least I had cash coming in, and she would have an amazing month. And I went, wow, okay, that's incredible. So the balance worked really well. And then Liana got sick, unfortunately. And getting sick was the catalyst.
Yeah, I think jumping in at the deep end, starting a podcast with Thunder.
Yeah.
We had been thinking about it. It was always at the back of our minds that we're both really good at what we did. But we were doing it for independents. I worked for an independent and corporates. I mean, the hours that you work when you're at a big corporate, and then when I stepped away and started my own business, I was looking at it and saying, if Ollie works those hours for our business, and fate took its course. I got ill. My business fell off a cliff because it was just me that was running the business. And the minute I got the all clear, we kind of joined the new
forces,
business, joined forces, and started working on our own business. And we haven't looked back. It felt like it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. Yeah, the stars were aligned. It's just had to happen.
What's been obviously the best moments that you've had so far, sort of going into it? Because the company's been around for what, nearly
3 years this May. This 3 years this May it'll be. What the best moments of it?
Yeah, some of them. Don't have to go into too much detail.
I know it sounds cheesy.
You're gonna get a lot of cheese.
That's fine.
Look, I genuinely signed up for this job. A, because the money was fun and good and great. But B, it's also helping people move and actually handing over sets of keys to new buyers, whether they're first-time buyers or downsizers, upsizers, whatever. It's a really good feeling. And you're a really important part in somebody's life, which is super stressful. It's up there with organising marriages, it's up there organising divorces, and up there with organising funerals. And if we can become part of that and then help ease the process, which is really difficult, right?
Yeah.
And give people really good advice. There's parts where we've had situations where it's been really, really tricky, difficult sales and chains, etc., and just handing over the keys is a wonderful feeling. It really is.
Does it feel different now doing it as your own company?
Exactly. It's making the old decisions. It's not having any red tape. I mean, when you work for the corporates, you have to, it's KPIs, it's doing things a certain way. And when you're able not to have to do them because somebody's telling you to do them, and every decision is down to you, it's freedom. It's incredible. And I think for me, opening the first office the first day, just having the keys to an office and starting to build that space where we're creating something step by step, and it was ours, I think that was pretty special.
The first deal, I remember that when we rang the bell. We still got the bell. You had to get the bell from the corporate.
It's not been easy. We've had some real challenges along the way. I mean, people think about, a lot of people look at the business and they say, oh, you're doing amazing. And yes, it's incredible, but it's running your own business and doing this day to day in, day out is challenging. And you learn how to overcome so many obstacles, and you're working 24/7. I mean, you say life balance, work-life balance. It's like, what's that when you've got your own business?
But do you feel that you enjoy that more now than you do
100%.
having come from the big sort of corporate?
I think we both had to be in that corporate situation in our 20s and early 30s in order to be able to do what we're doing now
and enjoy it more.
But it's not for everyone.
No.
We've had situations where people have tried to come work for us, or we've told them this is what you need to do in order to become a successful agent independently, and it's just some people just can't. It's not for me. I actually need to go back.
They just
to corporate.
they need the corporate structure.
Yeah. But I think that's important for everyone to know, because I think you can get sort of distracted by the big numbers that you can make, and you know, running your own hours, and people think, well, I can start at whatever time I want, I can switch off at any time I want. It's like, okay, but you got to think about it, because it's your business. As you said before, there is no real switch off time if you want to be successful. And I think that's what some people don't understand. They think that they can just come and go as they please, which they can. But when you've got no safety net, when there's nothing to fall back on, and it's just you, that is quite intimidating to a lot of people.
You have to be all in.
And that's the mistake
90%.
that some people, because obviously agencies going that way, right? There's a lot of self-employed. We were the first when I first joined EXP. It was the very start of it. And what people don't understand is they think, yes, you're going to work a certain amount of hours, but actually you need to put in the graft, set the business foundations, and then you can start reaping the rewards and start enjoying that a little bit more. But it's great, because Ollie, when with the corporate, would never be able to pick up the kids or be at the shows, and now he can because he can work later. So it's very different. It's a very different setup to work.
Yeah. And do you find that sort of more important, is being able to be there for those things that you weren't, or technically wouldn't have been able to be there for?
Yeah, you're never going to get those years back, right? I've been to 3 sports days in a row, which I was never able to do.
No.
And if I was able to do it, it's like, right, you've got to be back at this time.
He only goes because he likes to race at the end.
Oh, yeah, like
the dad race.
Do you win the dad race?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. You wouldn't say no, would you? I want to go back to, obviously, what you spoke about, Liana, was obviously what people don't see about sort of the business, and they see, as you said, it looks like you're doing great, which obviously you guys are. But what is it that the public don't see about the business that's so sort of obvious to yourselves? What's one of the sort of the more obvious things that they don't get to see?
I think agency is really interesting, because agents have become actors, and everything is about showing off the property. And our videography, we spend a lot of money in making a property look fantastic. Yeah. So you're walking around the property and it's all very idealistic, and they don't see the graft in getting the property to look like that. We go behind the scenes. We go to all our photo shoots. We're clearing out the house. We have boxes, and we've got a team of 4 people that are making that house look like that. Yeah. And it's funny, because a house is a home, but ultimately there's quite a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and then it's everything else that's with property, it's a journey. And it's getting it from going to, that's the easy part, that's the fun part, but actually taking it to offer, to exchange, to completion, that there's a lot of work that's
where the real sort of
so many challenges.
Doing the viewings, making a property look amazing is, as you said, that's the easy part, that's the fun bit. The real tricky bit is then keeping it together after that bit.
Anyone can open the door.
And there's so much that can come up in a transaction. Yes and no, because viewings are really important. That used to be a typical corporate that, viewing a house will sell itself, but I think in a difficult market we're in, that viewing, if you don't take advantage of that opportunity, you might just lose an offer. Yeah. But then the challenges that come up throughout a transaction, because we're still in a very archaic system. Yeah, people don't see that.
What are some of the most frustrating things that do come up throughout that process for you guys?
So the conveyancing process.
Yeah. Well, so from even from when the offer's been agreed to exchange,
lack of upfront information, lack of problems coming up in a survey and people not knowing how to navigate those. Yeah. Finances. Like the mortgages, because funnily enough, buyers a lot of the time tell us they've got their finances in place and then they don't, or sometimes they're cash, but they're cash from sale. Source of funds, material information, covenants. There's a long list. It's endless of things that come up.
What advice could you give to buyers then, in order to get themselves, so that if that situation does come up, what's sort of the main or the first bit of advice that you would give them?
I think you need to prep them that there's going to be many hurdles that we're going to have to jump over together. We're going to hold their hand throughout the whole process, navigate through it, and they just think, oh, I'll open the door, buy it, and it will go through with the solicitors. And I wish our job should be, here's a memo, done. We should step back and let the solicitors get on with it. That's certainly not the case. We have to hold our hand throughout the whole way. And just getting a survey, not a mortgage survey, but an actual, home buyer's report or a structural survey, you have to prepare the buyer to say, look, this survey isn't going to tell you how nice the kitchen is and how lovely that bathroom is and where that tap came from. They're going to literally tear this place apart. And I always say to my buyers and clients, if there was a survey available on the internet while you're scrolling through Rightmove and Zoopla and on the market, etc., nobody buy anything. Because they look at it and they just go, oh, crikey, look at that. Because surveyors have to red flag most aspects of properties because they're not experts. They're not gas experts, not electrical experts. They just advise. And because their insurance premiums have gone up so high as well, they're also thinking, oh, crikey, I need to actually overestimate what potentially that new circuit board's going to cost or potentially what a new boiler is going to cost. So it just freaks them out.
And we're back to the start where we're renegotiating again. And then we have to agree the mortgage offer, change it last minute. The seller wants to exchange on the Friday. You're on Thursday. We're calling the brokers to get the mortgage offer adjusted. So these are all...
So because of our expertise and because we've been doing this for 45 years between us, I can walk into a property now and I'm not a surveyor, but I've got experience. I can just say to the client, the surveyor is going to bring that up and bring that up. If you don't fix it or take some money off or be prepared to take some money off, we're going to have some problems. So you kind of anticipate all the problems that are going to occur. And if they don't, fantastic. But 99% of the time,
it's one of the things that we come up against, and something that we say to our clients from the finance side is, you have to be upfront with us at the very beginning, because I don't want surprises 2 months down the line into this, and then all of a sudden we've got the mortgage offer, and then you tell me something after the fact. And it's like, well, the lender's not going to be happy with that, and then we have to do the whole thing again. So I think it's the same from your perspective. It's you have to be upfront, even with a seller and a buyer. This is the situation. This is what you need to do, and this is what you need to look out for. And I think as long as they then know that you're going to be there, as you said, to hold their hand and help them through it, that's sort of the most important thing. Because I feel like a lot of buyers do get nervous that they're just going to be left on their own and just sort of left to their own devices. Many
times do we get something that's come up and then the solicitor needs to go back to the broker, or we need to get it signed off because there's something that's they need to cover, and solicitors aren't ready to take the risk a lot of the time on there, and these are really fundamental things that buyers and sellers just don't think about. They think that agents open the door and that's it, but all of these things come up throughout the transaction, and unless you have a good agent, good surveyor, good broker in place,
and good solicitor,
and a good solicitor, the transaction can be really difficult. But if you've got those four on board, it's a different experience. But what drives me crazy is that still the average exchange time is 156 days, I think.
152.
Something along those lines.
For at least
crazy, isn't it?
And
that's gone up over time.
Exactly that.
Because when I first started, I think it was 90 days.
Yeah.
It was 3 months on average. And you look at, I've been, since 2007, I've been since working in agency. And now it's 152 days. It's just nuts. But you just think, is that just going to keep on getting longer because people are just not sorting stuff out right from the very beginning and they're leaving it last minute? Or
I think a lot of it's to do with third parties on leasehold properties. You've got management companies, simple as that.
But also solicitors are being much more pedantic, much more cautious. Everybody's a lot more informed. There's so much more knowledge, data, informations are readily available. Like now with ChatGPT, when we get an offer or something, we get about 25 questions.
I wonder where they've got all these questions from.
And it's like about the property, and we have to answer that, which is great. I think it's fantastic. We send our PIQ forms and we get all property information questionnaires. Sorry to use the lingo. But that's we ask for as much information about the property up front. But that's one of the things, that there's so much more information, and things just still seem to take longer. So it's a whole change in the system would be great.
Yeah. If you had a magic wand and you could sort of change one thing each about the whole process at the moment, what would it be?
About the conveyancing process.
About the whole process from start to finish.
I would bring back home information packs. Yeah.
Why?
Because A, you get a serious seller, so you know that they're all in, because they used to have to pay 300 quid up front to get it. B, all the information is in there that you require apart from a survey, which I said would put everyone off anyway, so there's no point in having that in there. But it's literally, there's a pack, here you go, get your solicitor to read it. And it was one of the best things for the property industry at the time.
Yeah, upfront information, but having worked in Malta and the property industry, and having seen how putting a deposit, a 10% deposit, everything's done within a 6-week period, and then 90% is transferred at the end. It takes out there's so much money that's lost through failed transactions.
Yeah.
So I would completely overhaul the system.
Wow.
Bring in the Scottish system and a lot of the rest of the world. Actually, I think the UK market is the only market that does all of the work, all of that investment, and then on exchange, day before exchange, everything can fall through.
That metaphorical handshake should be binding, and it's not. And
Do you think there's a potential that it ever would get to that point?
Yeah, I do believe the technology's there to be able to do it.
So why aren't we sort of further along?
There's so much
archaic system to government, and because data isn't shared, it should be all on a platform which you can plug into. Searches should be there that we can all just plug into it and grab them, pay up front for them, and it should be there. It shouldn't take 3 weeks.
I mean, look at the IDs, the AML.
Yeah.
Why are buyers doing it 3 times?
You've got to do it. We've got to do it. The solicitors have got to do it. And then they pull out a deal, and then they've got to do it with another agency or another broker. Or it's
and then
mental.
a couple of $100 in, and it's
There's
mad.
no way that there's not technology there where we can just all plug in and say, oh yeah, that person we can do business with, or we can't.
It's just crazy,
isn't it? Yeah.
With my role at Property Mark, they lobby the government constantly, and they're at the forefront of everything that happens with government, property related. And I think I would like to be more positive, but I think it's going to take a long time for this system to change.
Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people share the same sentiment. I mean, I ask a lot of people what they would do if they could change something, and a lot of people they come out with the same answer. It's you agree something and that's binding, and it would just save a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's just interesting. But hopefully one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
We live in hope.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Well, they did do it in 2007 with HIPs, home information packs. So it can be done. It's just having the kahunas to do it.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Where do you think agents unintentionally sort of create friction with brokers, solicitors, and buyers?
Good question.
I think it's because there are some agents that don't necessarily know the sales process. So it depends who you're dealing with. But if I'm dealing in a transaction in a chain of 6, and I know up and down the chain what's going on and when to chase someone, when to say something, there are certain things that other agents that don't have as much experience won't know how to do. So they'll be putting pressure when the too much pressure becomes a pressure cooker where it's not necessary to have an exchange or do something, and they don't understand how much time, and a lot of people of the general public don't understand how much time necessarily some things take, like getting a revised mortgage offer, doing certain things, or how much it's going to take for a survey to be booked. So I think it's putting pressure when it's not needed.
I think agents, if they're acting selfish and all they're thinking about is their commission and not thinking about the whole process, and there's people involved with it, buyer, seller, broker, solicitor, solicitors, etc. I think that's where the friction starts.
Yeah.
And also some solicitors and some brokers blame each other. So it's one solicitor saying, oh, your solicitor didn't do this, and then suddenly there's all this kind of hate.
You've got parties working for the same transaction that are almost working against
each other rather than working together.
We all want to get it to the same point.
Exactly that.
So why wouldn't you just work together to get to get it through to exchange, to get it through to completion, as opposed to saying, no, it's your fault, no, it's your fault.
But if the agent's not managing expectations from the start.
But again, I think that was going to be my next question was, it must come down to just failed upfront communication from the agent, broker, solicitor, from all parties, and the buyer as well, because as I said, there's oftentimes they don't reveal all at the very beginning, and it gets far down the line, and then it's like, well, this has popped up, and it's like, well, how long have you known about this? Oh, since the start. I just didn't want to tell you because I was afraid. It's like, well, now we've almost got to go back, redo it all to get us back to this exact same point. So I guess yeah, I mean, I guess from your perspective, how often do failed deals come down to just poor upfront communication from any
I think a lot of agents are scared to talk about the negative.
Yeah.
So we've had a deal recently where we're on a multi-agency and the other agent found a buyer, but it had Japanese knotweed next door, and a few doors down there was subsidence because a tree had been removed from the front. Now, we knew about this, and the other agent knew about it as well. They got an offer and the deal fell through about 90% in, and the seller approached us and he said, if it was you guys handling the deal, that wouldn't have happened, because every single viewing that we've been on that property, we've mentioned it. So just so you know, they had Japanese knotweed next door, trim plan in place, it's fine.
Yeah.
That one had subsidence 20 years ago. It's not going anywhere. The property's 130 years old, it's not like it's falling down. And because of that, the agent was scared to tell their buyer about it and just put their head up and under the sand and in the sand, more like.
Just hope it wouldn't.
Hope it would just go through. Yeah. It's just like, let's be upfront about it.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
And also those days when, do you remember when you sent memorandum of sale stating 21 days from receipt of paperwork to exchange? There are some agents that still say that on the leasehold properties. And
what I think with that particular situation, what I think happened was the agent has got so much pressure from their director or their boss saying to them, oh, you've got to get this deal through, that all they're thinking about is the money and thinking about their figures and the KPIs.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking about this is a transaction where you have to hold people's hands and treat people with kid gloves and wrap them up in cotton wool.
Yeah, no, it's so true. From your perspective, in terms of when you're dealing with buyers then, what's sort of the biggest red flags that you hear from buyers that as soon as you hear it, you go, this is going to be an issue?
Are you going to edit some of this?
Not that.
Not that, but taking money from abroad. There's so many hurdles.
Source of funds is one of the biggest hurdles that we have to overcome now as agents, and something that wasn't our responsibility that is now big responsibility. If they haven't spoken to a broker and they just, it's a red flag if they haven't got their finances in place. You're going to have issues, and a lot of people don't even do the viewing.
What questions do you ask if you get a buyer who says, how are you funding the purchase? It's going to be from a mortgage. What questions would you then ask to follow that up to make sure that they have actually spoken or they are speaking to someone?
I usually ask what rate they've got. That's the killer question, because if I was buying, I know straight away what rate I've got. It's in my head. I go to sleep at night knowing what it is.
And if they stammer, you know that they haven't spoken to them.
Yeah, your sixth sense tells you straight away.
Yeah.
But
and who their lender is. Sometimes they don't even know because they are dealing with a broker, and
but also the brokers generally sometimes got two,
and a
copy
of the agreement. We ask, especially not for viewings, but the moment we're having a conversation about making an offer, we ask for an agreement in principle or decision in principle.
Yeah, well, that has to be done. That's our due diligence when an offer comes in. But just when they're either browsing or looking to buy with us, I think that killer question of what's your rate or who's your broker, and they stutter or stumble about it, then we know.
Yeah, fine. And then what's the moment you know that a buyer's being genuinely sort of proceedable or is genuinely proceedable?
Which broker is Phil Moses? I've got a 3.9% rate, which he's told me is going to come down in a couple of weeks.
And I have an agreement in principle.
Yeah. If somebody's offered as well on something before,
whether it's with us or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know they've gone from amber to to hot.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I like the answer about they're using film mode.
Of course you do.
Definitely made me smile. I want to sort of take a step back and look at the company now and sort of talk about your sort of dynamics and how you work together and stuff. Obviously, this is the fun stuff. One of the things, obviously, that you've on your website is that you're a family-run business with a modern twist. What is the modern twist that you sort of bring into agency or that bring into this world?
I wear trainers.
I think the moment he left the corporate, he took off his tie, and I don't think I've ever seen another tie since. But no, the modern twist, I think, is the attention to detail. Because it's really easy to just put a property on the portals and be kind of reactive, and just wait for a call and just wait for the business to happen. And I think when you don't have your own business, it's easier to do that. When it is your own business, everything you do needs to reach a successful ending. You need to sell that property. You've got to get that listing. So everything you do is done with more passion, I suppose, and integrity. And it's really important that you get those sales through.
I think agencies become lazy. In the corporates, people have relied on their basic wage now. When we started all those years ago, we had extremely low basics.
10 and 10.
10 and 10. I mean, I've spoken to some agents and they were on like...
Just explain the 10 and 10.
10 and 10. 10 grand.
10 grand
basic and then 10% commission.
And 10% commission.
On anything that you sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then that used to go up to 20% or 25%, depending on how many you could sell, et cetera, et cetera. So the 10K basic was... I called it my beer money.
You'd work Saturdays. You'd work Saturdays. You'd work Saturdays.
That's you working from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening.
Yeah, it was the best grounding.
Yeah.
So just going off piste a bit, which I like doing, I think minimum wage has killed the estate agency business because people have, agents can just sit back and relax on their minimum wage, where 10K, you can't live in London on 10K.
No.
So commission was everything. So you would have to sell. If you didn't sell, you'd go and have to join another industry.
Yeah.
Agents can sit back and relax now. And I think that's kind of where the modern twist comes in, going back to that, because in our business, we haven't got anyone, no one's sitting back, relaxing and waiting for the listing to sell.
You can't afford to, can you?
No, can't. Yeah.
There's no one else out there that's going to go and sell it apart from you guys. So if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it. And then what's going to happen? No.
Nothing.
And I think it's keeping up with the tech. It's really important to keep up with the tech. And we think that agency is quite progressed with tech, but it's not.
What's been the biggest, on that point, what's been the biggest sort of tech AI tool that you guys now use that you weren't using that you find?
Answer this one because she loves it.
I love AI. And I know it's weirdly enough. I think it's 50% less women are taking up or interested in adopting AI than men, and I just found that a staggering stat.
Really?
Because I'm the one that's always, Ollie, we need to be doing everything with AI. I love it. We do all our scripts, all our write-ups. We still have a very good social media person working and helping us. So it's not all AI generated, but so many of the smaller tasks for a smaller business, we can keep up with the bigger corporates because of AI.
Yeah.
A lot of the phone answering, the booking, the viewings, just there's such clever stuff out there.
Do you think there's apprehension for bigger firms or other agencies to implement AI as much because they want to have a lot of it controlled by individuals and people, but it's almost, do you feel like it's almost slowing them down a bit and they're almost sort of being left behind a bit by not embracing sort of that wave of AI technology into the business? They're almost sort of being left behind by companies like yourselves.
Yeah, if you're treading water, you're never going to succeed.
And it's harder for them, right? They're like the big tanker, and we're like the jet skis.
Speedboat.
Yeah.
So
Sunseat.
I wanted
You're a
us on jet
ski.
ski.
You can be on a jet ski. I'll be on the Sunseeker.
Be on the pedalo.
You'll never lose the human touch.
Yeah.
But I think if we don't embrace AI, and hopefully AI might be able to do something to speed up the conveyancing, because I've seen some incredible things happening behind the scenes on that front, where everybody feeds into one place, and maybe there'll be something in the next few years, and that's where I'm quite positive, because if AI can incorporate all of the solicitors, the surveyors, the agents, and do something where everybody's going to one place, that would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Amazing. Obviously, as we talked about it before, but obviously you came from a big corporate agencies, both of you. What's sort of the biggest thing that you took, or what's the main thing that you took from that corporate agency that sort of helped you set up what you've got now?
I think it was management of time. Without the corporate, I would have been all over the place. It gave me structure. Getting to your 8:40 meeting, 8 o'clock emails, 8:40 meeting, call out, viewings, deal chasing, etc., etc. And without that still kind of foundation which is embedded in me, I'd still be all over the place. So it's I now manage my time better. But I needed that foundation from the corporate to get me to where I am today.
That's a really good answer. Mine was kind of the meritocracy, because at the corporate it was very much you reap what you sow, and you work hard, and it was and we'd get the rewards, and it was a really fun environment to work in, but also taught me lots of lessons, just generally how to deal in a new country. Ultimately, I'd moved here from Malta, never driven on the motorway, set off in a green Mini, and
They don't have motorways in Malta.
we don't have motorways. So the first time I left Chiswick Park,
oh my God,
I sat on the side of the road. I was like, oh, what do I do now?
She ended up on the A40.
I did with my clients, and I started crying. I had to stop on the side of the road, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't know what I'm doing.
With her tom-tom.
I did have a tom-tom.
Tom-toms.
Yeah, so that you can make it, and I think depending on how hard you work.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the corporate is you read what you say. At the time anyway, it was big commissions and low wages, and if you worked hard, you were always going to succeed. Yeah, which I really liked about it.
And you've now applying that to your business now, and that's the difference. Is it's your business. It's yours, and this is why it's so important to you. So you take those positives, you apply it into your business, and that's why you'll be able to succeed, or and go really, really far.
Failure isn't an option, Phil.
I love that. I want to talk about sort of your dynamics working together. Obviously, you're co-bosses.
I think we know who the boss is here, Phil.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. Who is the boss?
Basically, I wear the trousers. Liana chooses what colour they are.
I think I think working together and just being serious. Obviously, you know who the Joker is.
Yeah.
You know that for 20 years.
You get to know strengths and weaknesses, right? Yeah. There are some things that Ollie brings to the table that I just can't, replicate. And I think same for me. And we know who to send into a situation. We know who can deal with a situation better. And although we didn't set out our roles, which is something that normally with the bigger corporates, everybody knows their roles and responsibilities, we kind of fell into our roles and responsibilities.
Happened organically there, yeah.
Based on our strengths. So I think we're very much the boss when we need to be the boss in certain situations. So there are certain decisions that I'll take, and there are certain decisions that Ollie will take.
Yeah. Also,
maybe a few less.
there's situations where I genuinely need Liana to help out. It's like a sticky situation. I need a third party. Ultimately, we work for the client, work for the customer, got a duty of care for the buyer as well. But what's going to keep the client happy, and how we're going to get the deal over the line, is sometimes we need each other's help to do that.
I think sometimes that's it's almost taking your ego out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's, you know, one of you brings the listing on, one of you's dealing with the buyer. Sorry,
No, I
didn't hear that one.
There's no ego. There's no ego. I think what's really interesting is, and what I've realized is, we're aiming towards the same goal, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, ultimately, if you're with a colleague and you've got a partner or you're at work, you don't actually say what you think. And with each other, we say what we think. If we don't we don't really.
There's no barriers because we're
hold back.
husband and wife.
So we talk.
If she was a business partner, only a business partner, there's some things I might not be able to say to her. I think, that might create the, you know, the business might fall apart because of it, or it could create a sticky ground. But because she's my wife, I can.
You kind of
say it as it is.
Yeah, because you have to, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Who out of the two of you, who's more cautious? Who sort of holds back sometimes? Who pauses, and who pushes for? I think I know the answer to this one anyway. But for the listeners that don't, who's more likely to sort of cautiously hold back, pause for a second, and who just wants to sort of push forward and go?
I'll let you answer that, darling.
Again, it depends. In certain situations,
yeah.
I'm the one. Actually, Ollie's much slower than me sometimes.
But no, in a good way where I say,
yeah,
she'll go
and
for
I'll
it
go,
and say, look, you need to slow this down.
Yeah.
I take decisions, pretty big decisions, very quickly.
Like what? Like what kind of decisions?
Like,
agreeing a deal too quickly, maybe.
No, that's yours.
No way. There's situations where you've gone, right, let's get it in the pipe. And I was like, well, hang on a second, let's just slow this down. Couple of other things going on around here. Take your time. It can wait a weekend, or it can wait 2 or 3 hours until the client's digested the information. I think there's been situations where that's happened.
It's kind of business decisions. Like, you know, if we did a few like things last year within the business, and it was me that was leading that. If, you know, there's something that I think would make us grow, or an investment into something, right, we're going to get this bit of tech, or we're going to get, you know, book this, or we're going to do this marketing campaign. That's me, that leads it.
I'm more frugal.
And then, sometimes it's Ollie that speeds ahead and me that kind of slows things down. But I'm trying to think of a situation where you can't speed ahead. And I can't think of it.
I think it all, like every single transaction, every single day. That's what I love about this job, is nothing's ever mundane. It's every day is different. Every transaction is different. So it all depends on the situation,
stuff like that. But what's sort of the most common mortgage related delay, and why it catches sort of buyers out, that you think?
A lot of people are self-employed nowadays, and as you know, it's a real hurdle to get all the accounts in order. And I think after the MMR Mortgage Market Review in 2013, when it was 2013, wasn't it? Yeah, you've got things like CCJs and bank mobile phone bills that haven't been paid, and I think they're the kind of ultimate hurdles that have really, I mean, because we're dealing with people all the time, and we actually have to delve into, you know, their jobs and their finances, because we shouldn't really be taking people around to people's homes, to my clients' homes, unless they've got all their finances in place, right? So actually, if you don't have your mortgage offer, you haven't spoken to a mortgage broker, or if you've got some CCJs and you can't actually get finance, you shouldn't actually be walking through the door.
I think down vals as well, down valuations. Yeah. Sometimes renegotiating.
You know what, that's something that hasn't really come up in any of the talks that we've done, is down valuations and how buyers deal with that.
And also like difficult properties to get a mortgage on. You get signed up and then something comes up, like especially with ex-council properties. So if you've got the passageway that leads to it, or the percentage of privately owned as opposed to the percentage of council owned, things that you don't necessarily look at when you EWS1 forms. And then with down valuation, so when we bought our house, we had a down valuation, we had two, then we got a second lender and we bought it at the higher price. But it's only because we're agents that we had the the guts to do that. I don't.
Tenacity.
It doesn't have the tenacity to do that. A lot of buyers wouldn't necessarily do that because they'd think, oh, it's not worth the money. They try and renegotiate. Ours was down valued by 50 grand, so it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's down valued by £20,000, and you just that's short, and you think. Why? Because it's not going to make a difference in a few years' time.
No.
£20,000 actually won't make a difference in a few years' time to the end of the day.
It's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money in property
in
terms,
property
right?
terms,
Yeah.
no, yeah, and in mortgage terms. I mean, if you're looking at adding or take away 20 grand on a mortgage, the difference that will actually make depending on how long you've taken the mortgage over in terms of the term, but it's not going to be it's not going to suddenly increase or decrease your monthly payments by a significant amount. It's going to be like, oh, I just can't afford to do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's coffee.
Yeah,
it's going to be so minimal.
And part of the conversations that I have with my clients when these situations come up, down valuations, or when something's on the market for a certain price and the vendor's dead set, they won't go below the certain price. The conversation I always say to them is, if you lose out on that property because you're not willing to negotiate by 10, 15, 5, because sometimes it's even as low as 5 grand. Are you going to be okay with it, or are you going to be kicking yourself?
Yeah.
And if it's the point of you're going to be kicking yourself, bridge the gap. If you can bridge the gap, make it work. But if you're happy to walk away for the sake of 5 grand, 10, 15 grand, whatever it might be, then fine, it's not the right property. But if it's not and you really want it, just go forward.
Pride a lot of the time.
That's really good advice. And fear. Fear is massive in that. So if you're a first-time buyer, never bought before, and somebody is telling you that the property you're buying is not worth the money you're paying for it, it's really scary.
100%.
Yeah. And also a surveyor who's come along from out of town, who's downvalued it by 100 grand or so, and they have no idea. They've never valued it.
Has that happened to you before?
To me.
You sound like you're talking from experience there.
It's so frustrating because they're getting surveyed. I mean, most of the surveyors I've known, because I've worked in the area for so long, you say, hey, hi, how you doing again?
You're bound to bump into them.
Exactly. And it's I had one recently last summer, and he called me up and he said, look, we've done 100 deals together or so. This particular one, I have to downvalue it by 50 grand. There's nothing that supports the comps. And I'm like, look, it's got a pog and pile kitchen. Don't know if you know what a pog and pile kitchen is.
I don't actually know.
Phil. It's a very high-end German kitchen.
Okay.
And he just wouldn't take it into consideration. But it was worth 50 grand more in my eyes, the vendor's eyes and the buyer's eyes, because it had this pog and pile kitchen. But to him, it just wasn't. And he just said, look, I'm really sorry. And he goes, one of them is going to be downvalued, and this is the one I have to do it. So I'm okay, look, I get it. 99% of the time he's actually been okay.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about the hurdles, something came to mind about, you're right about bridging the gap on 5 or 10 grand. And I think this is where a good broker and the agents work together, and you said break it down to that one coffee a week. And if it's like they're not paying 10 grand extra for the principle of it, it's like, okay, let's just work out what 10 grand is at a 4% mortgage over 52 weeks, divide it up. And if you can't do these basic maths, should you really be in a job? Get a calculator out, do it. And it's like, actually, it's £8 a week or £12 a week or something along those lines. It's like, you're going to lose your property of your dreams for a small amount of money.
Yeah.
I get it. Sometimes they genuinely can't afford it.
Yeah.
But 9 out of 10 times, it's the pride.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it is pride, and it's a case of, and sometimes it depends. If something's dragged on for so long, they almost don't want to do it because it almost makes, or they feel it makes them look weak. It's like, it doesn't matter. The end goal is for you to be in that property, the property that you've done multiple viewings on, you've offered, you're nearly at exchange, you're nearly at that point. See it through. And if you really can't afford to do it, fair enough. Absolutely. I don't want anyone going into a transaction where they're then feeling stressed and worried about it. But also at the same time, are you willing to walk away from it? And that's the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people that when you say that to them, it's like, okay, fine. But again, it's reassuring them, because I think there's also a bit of a stigma on, especially on bigger corporate agencies, that they want to get the deal done. They don't care. There's no emotion in it. But then I guess when you're doing it from your perspective, it's your business, it's family business. You want to make sure that they're being looked after, and that they, when they do come to sell it, at some point, they then come back to you.
And it's a drop in the ocean at 20 grand in 10 years' time, right? As we said, it's a lot of money, but it is a drop in the ocean.
So I want to go back to the point that you made, Liana, which I thought was really, really good, is you've got a buyer who's never been through the process, so typically a first-time buyer, who's been through it, they've agreed the offer, they then get the down valuation of 20 grand or 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it might be. What advice would you give to that buyer to keep them calm and settled and continue sort of moving forward? What would you say to them?
Firstly, we should have prepped the buyer in the first place about that potentially happening, and the vendor.
Yeah.
Saying that
this sometimes happens.
Yeah. So just be prepared for it. Prepare for the worst. If it
prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
If it doesn't happen, fantastic, great. But if it does, and when it does come, it's less of a bitter taste.
We use examples because we've been through it a few times. Yeah. And as I said, it happened to us. Yeah. So there are options. I mean, challenging it doesn't hardly ever works. We've had
20 years.
But it's a very rare thing that a bank will change their view on the value. So choosing another option as for a lender, because you can get a second, even sometimes a third opinion, and that gives some reassurance. Yeah. And also sometimes negotiating, because we find that when we do have a down valuation and the seller is motivated to sell, buyer wants to buy, we sometimes split the difference on the difference in price. Sometimes, the buyer's more keen, the seller's more keen. So we renegotiate, we go back to the proverbial negotiation table and then re-agree the price.
But I guess that's where having a good agent, a good broker, to give them that advice, because I think sometimes buyers do feel like they're on their own, and a broker will give them the news, sorry, we've had a down val by 50 grand. Can you get the extra cash? No. Okay, well, let me know what you want to do, and then give me a call. Exactly. And some brokers are just happy to leave it there. And I'm just thinking, what are you on about? There's so, as you just pointed out, there's so many different options that buyer then has. We can look at another lender. We can go to another bank and say, we can try it. There might be the same outcome, but we can absolutely give it a go and try it. Let's just not stop doing it. And then, as you said, if that doesn't work, can we negotiate? Can we go back to the vendor and renegotiate? But that's where having the broker and the agent to have that advice with the buyers is it's invaluable, because it's just that you do get some inexperienced brokers, inexperienced agents that don't know how to have those conversations because they don't understand it themselves. So when they don't understand it and they're giving that advice, the buyer's almost just thinking, well, I've got to walk away then. I've got to leave it because I don't know what my options are.
I want to see the survey report. I want to see this down val.
We've had that buyers tell us it's a down val.
Of course.
But also, if you do have a second down val, then the seller will really consider potentially a lower price. So there's a solution, and that's all it's about: clear communication, finding the solution.
Yeah. When you're saying to the seller, "What do you want to make this happen, or do you want to take it off the market and not move?"
Yeah. Yeah, amazing.
And they always say, "Oh, put it back on the market again." It's like, well, it's kind of going to happen again, probably, or we wanted X. Let me ask you a question, which I want to know. Is there a database where the surveyors put all their valuations on?
Unless it's with the same company.
Same list.
So if it's the same surveyor that goes out to go and see the property. This is another misconception that I think people have, is that once you place it, so if I placed a case with Barclays, for example, they would send their surveyor out, or a surveyor that they would choose, to go and value the property. If I then place it with another lender who uses the same surveyor, we're going to get the same outcome.
Yeah, of course.
So from my perspective, I have to make sure that the lender I'm placing them with is going to use a different surveyor, because there's no point, because I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting the buyer's time, I'm wasting your time as the agent, I'm wasting the seller's time. So it's about finding who the lender's going to use as a surveyor. But unless it's within the same company,
but I think some of the companies share their data, because I've had situations where
possibly. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I don't know enough about the surveying companies and how they share data. I can only go based off
what your
examples that I've had and situations that I've had where I placed it with one lender. They've said it's a 50 grand down value, we should place it with someone else, and they're happy with it.
Yeah.
So it does happen. But I guess but again, it's having those conversations and letting them know. But then also, again, like informing you guys of how it works and letting you know, so that you then have the confidence that if it does come up, so, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm sure Phil will be able to find you a different lender. If we can't, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But because sometimes there are situations where buyers are with a particular lender because they have to be, if they are self-employed, or if they need to use commission income, or if they need to use bonus income, there's a reason why we've gone with that lender. It's not always because they're offering the cheapest rate. If that was the solution every time, great, it'd be easy fix, then you just go to the next one on the list. Sometimes there's lenders who are offering really good deals, and we can probably get the lending with them, but there's just something that we just can't use them for because of, you know, as I said, they get paid on commission or whatever. So again, it's just having that, and that's from our perspective is sometimes the biggest frustration is that, oh well, I've seen that HSBC have got a rate of 3.43. Why can't I get that? It's like, okay, well, because that's got a 40% deposit required and you've only got 15%. That's on a 2-year fix, and you need to go with a 5-year fix to get the borrowing. So there's so many, if I could get you that rate, I would do. It's the same for you guys. If I could get you this property for this price, I would do. But the seller at this moment in time isn't willing to budge. And it's just about breaking down those walls and making them aware, because it's so easy to just read stuff on the Daily Mail, which is always the greatest place in the world to find out your information about property and mortgages, isn't it? But that's where they read it. They read it online, don't they? And that's where they get their source of information from. So it's just breaking those barriers down and making sure that they understand it as best they can do to kind of help them sort of go forward.
This is where your holding hand scenario, as we were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's invaluable. And I think that's why it's invaluable that people understand that and not just go, yeah, okay, well, I'll do it, but I'm almost eventually feel like I'm doing it on my own. It's like, no, don't worry. I'm here. I'll help you through it. I'll walk you through it. You know, I've done it hundreds of times. I'll continue to do it hundreds more, because I want to get you to that point of you being able to walk through the front door with your own set of keys, and that's your new home, essentially. Now I want to sort of talk about how sellers choose agencies or choose agents, and how often you think sellers underestimate the buyer qualification process. Do they think it's as easy as, how much can you afford? Yeah, okay, that property's on the market. Okay, go and show them.
Well, I think the purple bricks would still be around, right? Are they still around? I don't know. They are still around.
I think they're sort of around. Yeah.
But the online agent would have taken over if that was the case, because they could just do it themselves.
Yeah.
And clearly it doesn't work in certain, and I think it's all about geography. I think in certain parts of the country it works really well. But where we're based in pretty much central and outside of central London, you need good agents to hold the price for you, qualify the buyers, make sure you're getting the right people around. I mean, there have been some people I've just outrightly refused to take round to my client's house. It's just no point. They're browsers. And also, I can choose. I want to take round to my house. Their houses nowadays. We had to call for it. You couldn't.
Yeah, you just got to get that viewing.
To do the viewing. Yeah, exactly. Right. And I was like, actually, I don't want to deal with you.
No, fair enough
to me.
I don't think they really think that far, though. They do ask the question, but I think the most important thing with when sellers are choosing an agent is that they feel that gut instinct that they want to deal with that agent. And a lot of the time, they're not dealing with that agent, especially in the corporates. But I think the most important thing at the initial conversation is how much commission I'm going to pay, how quickly are you going to sell my house, how much are you going to get me. Those are the 3 main criteria, the main questions. Most important.
They want the highest price.
The highest price.
Least commission.
In the quickest time possible.
Yeah. And only one viewing. Not prepared to tidy up.
And then everything else starts, but after the conversations, and that's the whole point. That we now, as we say to people, if you get us, you get us, and that's why we offer a 0-week contract. So it's 2 weeks notice at any point. We want people to work for us. You know, a lot of agents do these 16-week contracts. The corporates do 20 weeks. You have to give 14, whatever. That's not us. So if sellers get us, they get us because they realize that it's a combination of those 3 points, but it's not the cheapest agent that's going to get you the best price in the quickest time.
Right.
No, we've seen listings come up recently, and they've obviously gone with the other agent because they've bought the listing because they've just gone in way too
really high price,
and they have charged a high commission as well. So okay, I can justify it with the commission, and then they put the photos up. It's like, oh, God, they didn't even move the toothbrush, or you got a bottle of fairy liquid right there. It just drives me mad.
Again, you sound like you've talking from experience there, Ollie. Speaking on that, I mean, what happens when instructions are one mainly on price, and that's the sort of the main motivator from the agency?
Look, we've had situations where we've guided our clients and said, look, this is the level that the market dictates because your neighbour's on at this and the other street's on at this price. But they've said, look, I really want to list it for X. Can we just give it a go? But we've got the lowest price drops in our patch. So we like to get it right the first time. And I think that says a lot, because I think long gone are the days where you go, let's just put it on at the highest price possible, see what happens. I think buyers are I think they're much more educated now. There's also an abundance of stock on the market because of landlords exiting. Buyers have so much choice now, and because they have so much data as well from AI, from extra information, they can actually pick and choose what they want to see. And I think there are some streets where you're like, actually, you know what, I will put it on at that price because your kitchen is fantastic, because your view over there is just next level. I think somebody will actually fall in love with it.
But we would rather be the second agent at the right price than the first agent at the high price.
Yeah, she's right. It's like,
so we just say, please do what you need to do. We're giving you our professional advice. Once you've done that, please come to us, because we can do it at the right price.
We've advised, we've said to them, go and put it on with X, let X deal with it.
If they're telling you they can get you that price.
And then come back to us when they haven't started.
So you're almost happy to sort of walk away.
100%.
We can't give the service otherwise. So we're a small company. We want to give our clients 100%.
Medium strong company, I like to say.
Okay, medium-sized company.
I've always been, so I'm okay with that. 5'1.5".
That's fine, no problem with that.
So yes, so we'd rather walk away from the listing if it's at an unreasonable price. But I don't think sellers even think, just to go back to your question about the buyers till we get them an offer, that's when they start thinking about the quality of buyers you're taking through the door and how the agent, how much work it. And this is why I'm with corporates, you've got 3 or 4 people involved in the whole transaction. With us, you call in, you speak to us, then you're taken by us. So we know from the very first conversation everything there is that you need to know about that buyer, right through to completion. And the sellers wouldn't even know who's coming through the door sometimes with corporates, with no feedback, no backstory. And that's what we bring to the sellers. We tell them a lot more about what to expect from the viewings and the buyers and their financial position.
But again, I think that goes back to what we were talking about right at the start, with talking to buyers about being upfront with how the process works and what to look out for, what are the pitfalls, and be honest and upfront with me. You have to do the same with the sellers, because they need to know. It's like, okay, fine, I want to know what price you're going to get me. It's like, no, I need to tell you about what kind of buyers I'm going to be bringing through the door, what kind of buyers I'm not going to be bringing through the door. Because I could fill out my diary and I could fill property with 15 different viewings of the wrong buyer, which is a complete waste of my time. It's a waste of your time. Do you want me to do that? Or do you want me to bring the right buyers through the door who are actually going to be considering offering? Oh no, I'd much rather have the proper buyers. Okay, fine. Then you need to know about it now, and you need to understand how the process works. But that's, again, going back to what we were talking about at the start, is having those conversations right at the very, very start of the whole process, as opposed to trying to do it 6 weeks down the line and say, well, this has been our tactics. Like, okay, well, why don't you tell me that from the very beginning?
I think over the past 2 years or so, I think pricing is so important now. It's become more important than ever. As I said earlier, you just put it on at whatever price and see what happens. You can't do that anymore.
No.
You have to take into consideration so much information. And when we do valuations, and we go together on a valuation, we won't give the price there and then. We have to let it digest. We have to think, okay, let's go back to them with a sensible price.
Take the emotion out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when we first started, I used to splurt out the price all the time, and I got a kick under the table. Because that was what I was trained to do for 17 years.
Yeah, it's hard to break a habit.
Exactly, yeah. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to you on price because I need to do a bit more research. And we've obviously done the research before we've gone there, but it's just like, let's just take our time.
But it's also different, isn't it? I mean, seeing something, I mean, these are the same things that I remember learning week 1, 2007, speaking to a buyer on the phone. It's one thing seeing it online, seeing it face to face is completely different. You've told me about your property. I've done the research before I've come to see it. But now that I have seen it, I didn't notice, or I didn't know that about your garden. I didn't know that about the view that you had. I didn't know that about the kitchen, the 50 grand German kitchen that you've got. 70 grand German kitchen that you've got. That kind of stuff I need to factor in. I've got a number, but I don't want to tell you that and then come back to you with a different one. I need to sort of digest it all. So
exactly. It works the other way around, doesn't it, with the buyers?
It works both ways.
So going back to price as well, one thing which we're quite proud of is when we give a price to our clients nowadays, we'll say to them, look, this is kind of the range with it's in. And we normally get 105, well, on average, we get 105% of our asking prices.
Wow.
Which, is pretty spectacular. Most agencies get 96, 97% of the asking price. But I think we've got the skill set to be able to get buyers up as opposed to knocking vendors down.
Well, you've just won an award for second year in a row, isn't it? Yeah. What award was that again?
Which one? Which award?
Toot your own horn now.
You.
The British Property Awards, and also the Estes.
There you go.
Silver Estes.
Go for gold next time. But look, you don't get those awards and you don't get nominated for those things if you're obviously not doing something right. So clearly something's working. Clearly, obviously what you're doing is the right thing. As you said, you're achieving 105% of asking prices. That's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah. So clearly the advice that you're giving buyers and sellers is obviously working. Obviously, it's just need to keep it going, and 2026 is going to be a massive, massive year. I have a couple of just sort of quick fire questions sort of as we kind of come towards the close of this very delightful interview and podcast. It's been amazing. What is the best upgrade under £500 that could help a valuation for a property?
Oh, good question. I like that. Under £500.
£500 or under.
Oh, you're cheap, Phil.
I am.
£500.
I am. All right, say £1,000 then.
Okay, I think. Okay, I've got it in my head.
Valuation or for
that could help evaluation.
Help evaluation.
Getting rid of any condensation, like those bathroom damp spots and things like that. Anything that people are going to look, that's small, but people are going to think is really big.
Yeah. Don't paint over it, obviously.
Bring a plaster over a bullet wound.
Exactly. He's given us £500.
I said, up to £1,000. Up to £1,000.
I think, personally, I think decluttering and storage.
Yeah.
I think if you can spend £1,000 on a storage unit and get rid of all the stuff you haven't used for, let's say you haven't used something for a year or 6 months, some clothes or you haven't worn, etc., just dump it in there. Clutter around a house ain't great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to show off work services, space, etc. I think it's it's meant to be quick fire. Next one.
Okay. Well, that's on you, Ollie, not me.
There you go. See, it takes me 5 sentences to.
That's very true. That's very true. What's the biggest buyer misconception about affordability when buying a property?
Misconception.
I think okay, I've got one. Yeah, I think how long the process takes. So, let's say, for example, for a first-time buyer. A buyer thinks they're in rented accommodation, the first-time buyer. This is what is misconception because they think, oh, this deal's going to go through in 3 months, 4 months, etc. That's
because there's no chain.
Because there's no chain, and they're the ones who are at the bottom. But that costs a buyer £500 a week on average in London for their rent. That's what normal rent is. So if they can use a fantastic broker a fantastic agent and a fantastic solicitor, those 150 days can be cut, which we're talking about earlier, can be cut down to 90 days, where you've just saved yourself, what's that in rent? It's 2 months, 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, 4 grand, 5 grand in rent. See what I mean? So that's the misconception, is that actually, if I use a cheap solicitor, cheap broker, etc., I'm just going to get it through regardless. No, you can save yourself so much money on your rent, Mr. First-Time Buyer, by getting this deal through quickly.
Wow.
And mine is, some think that it's cheaper to rent than to buy. And it's so much cheaper to be paying your mortgage rather than paying someone else's. Quick fire.
Quick fire.
Diana, I'll start with you on the next two, just to see if we can get these a bit quicker.
I'll chip in.
Chain-free, is it a dream or are there hidden risks? So is it an absolute dream to have someone that's chain-free?
100%, yes. Chain-free, freehold.
Dream.
Absolute dream.
Absolute dream.
Anything to add on that?
No.
Okay.
Just echo.
When you see listings that have offers over a certain price, offers over 500 grand, is it helpful or is it harmful?
When I first started my career, I thought it was harmful. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought, who's ever going to pay over? But as I've become more mature in this business, I've got a skill set now to be able to deal with offers over. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's good. It's helpful.
Same for you?
I'm not a fan of offers over. I prefer the guide because it gives people an indication of what they need to pay. Offers over is a bit open, in my view. But I also understand why it's done, because as Ollie said, you can't price high and get offers lower, although offers over doesn't work as well as a guide.
Okay. Fair enough. What's the biggest thing that you two disagree on work-wise?
Good question.
What do we disagree on? This is meant to be quick fire.
No, this isn't quick. This isn't quick fire.
Right, okay. As long as you got.
Not very long.
What do we disagree?
Something that you butt heads on regularly.
Switching off. I think
Knowing when to switch off.
Knowing when to switch off. Yeah, there's some times where Liana would just say, "Get away from your laptop. Get off the phone. Have some family time." Because where's my phone? I put it away. Ultimately, that's my toolbox, and without my toolbox, I'm not working. So I forgot my toolbox with me.
It's making the distinction between, yes, the business is very important. It's important to me, but also the kids need one-on-one attention. And if you're always on your phone when you're around the kids, they're never going to get that from you.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to detach himself from the phone.
The trouble is, a phone nowadays is your camera.
It does everything.
It's your newspaper. It's communication, it's your social media, etc. So once you're working or you're looking at something on there, and actually I'm looking at a recipe, but then suddenly an offer comes in.
It's easy to get yourself distracted, isn't it?
I'm a few years older and I've been through a bit more, so I think it's so valuable.
Whatever she says.
It's so valuable to have
so
family.
So Liana is the boss then.
The one-on-one time. That's one-on-one time. But I don't know. At work, it's not a huge amount because we talk through most things. We're just.
It's just outside.
It's
of
just that.
Yeah.
Form of getting that.
I think we agree on most things. Yeah. Actually, maybe which photographs to lead with.
Yes.
That's it. 100%. I like a certain angle. She likes another angle. And I'm like, okay, fine. We'll use your angle this week, darling. Next week, we'll mix the photos. I thought we'll use my angle.
So now it's
which
naturally
one
fell
works.
into either my instructions, he does his.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough.
But then it comes to a point that if it hasn't sold within the first week or two,
Comes to me.
I'll say, let you choose the photos, or what I'll do with her is I'll just mix up all the photos on there, and then a week later she'll say, "Who's mixed up the photos on my listing?" I got an offer.
Last couple of bits. Would you rather have a lower offer, but the finance is strong, or a higher offer with uncertainty?
Lower offer finance.
All day long.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite quick.
And for the sellers.
Fun. Who, out of the two of you, who trusts a broker's word and who needs proof?
I trust.
I have like everything in writing, Phil.
Even if it's from me.
Yes.
Oh, fair enough.
That's that's the due diligence.
Fair enough. Last couple of things. What's one thing you're really optimistic about this year?
Sentiment. I think I don't think the market's going up by 10% a year like it used to in the noughties and the 90s, etc. I think buyers are more confident and want to get on with moving now, and I think that's really positive, and we need to jump on that and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I think 2026 is a year of slow growth and stability. And it's just been so difficult since COVID, since Brexit. Since
Brexit.
But we had the stamp duty holiday, so the market was quite buoyant.
There was artificial
There's
markets.
been nothing, the government hasn't introduced anything positive for the property market. And I think coming into 2026, at least, all of these things that have been, like the renters reform and all of that, it's still happening. But hopefully a year that's a bit more peaceful.
Okay. And one thing that agents need to be braver about?
Pricing.
I hate overvaluing. I think about just having honest conversations and not being afraid to have those. I remember my old boss used to say to me that you might be afraid to make a phone call here or have a certain conversation. 99% of the time, it's not going to be as bad as you think it's going to be in your head. And I think I'd give that advice to anyone.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for both of you being here. It's been amazing. I think I've laughed more in the last hour and a bit than I have done in a while. So
that was all Liana.
Yeah, obviously. But no, thank you for joining us. It's been really, really good.
You're welcome. Thank you.